Let's go through the semifinal. Again, all 10 wrestlers are alive. All 10 wrestlers can still finish for, in the case of Braden Davis, Luke Lillidahl, Tyler Kasak, they can finish as high as third. But for the semifinal bouts in the championship bracket, Beau Bartlett against Jesse Mendes. Death, taxes, and Bartlett versus Jesse Mendes in a high stakes matchup. So Bartlett has gotten the best of Jesse Mendes not once, but twice this year. In the regular season, in the Big Ten tournament, granted in the third place match, but here they are again, outside of the championship, where in the semifinals, they're going to meet sooner than anticipated. I have my reservations about this one because the caliber of wrestler that Jesse Mendes is, it is difficult to beat somebody 3 times like that, but Mendes did it against Bartlett, and you notice how the wagons have been circled, where Bartlett now has 2 consecutive victories. So I think a few people have pointed out that, man, Mendes is just rattling off points, and he's just able to score at will, but notice how that never happens against Beau Bartlett. Notice how it never happens against Beau Bartlett. Bartlett is elite when it comes to his defense, and that's what's paying off here. I think Bartlett is just simply sticking to what he feels comfortable with, what works for him, and he wins. He has 1 loss on the season, 5-3 in that Big Ten tournament. So it's worked for Bartlett before. Bartlett doesn't need to reinvent the wheel here. What he can do has worked in the past, has worked here this season against Jesse Mendes. Do not change anything. However, make some tweaks so that you are not as obvious, because now Jesse Mendes is going to put together a game plan for you. Jesse Mendes is going to have a blueprint to where, okay, I know that this is how this matchup is going to go. What changes can I make so that Bartlett doesn't win for a 3rd consecutive time? So I do have my reservations about this one. My confidence meter, is kind of on a scale of 1 to 10. I'd say it's about a 4, where Bartlett has proven me wrong the past other 2 times, where Mendes looked like he was the clear number 1. Nobody was stopping him. Mendes is my championship pick again, but I still think that Bartlett can win. It's not going to be easy, nor that anybody should expect it to be. 149. Ridge Lovett versus Shayne Van Ness. This was another matchup that it was going to happen regardless. Nothing was going to stand in their way from meeting again. Lovett looks like he's hit a different gear. Shayne Van Ness, again, a little passive, but gets the victory. And what I liked about Van Ness's match against Lachlan McNeil, I should have pointed this out earlier, but Van Ness, despite leading 4-2, and all he had to do was run out the clock, all he had to do was use time against McNeil, he was still looking to score just as much as McNeil of North Carolina was in that moment. So I like the way that Van Ness is wrestling, going off of the fact that Jeff Byers has said, hey, this is probably the best that Van Ness has felt all season. It is nice that you have that loss in your back pocket to Ridge Lovett when it was less consequential, to use it to your advantage and make those adjustments. Do I think Ridge Lovett ultimately wins here? I do, but kind of the same thing where it's not going. I don't think it's going to be a major decision. I think this one's going to go down to the wire. It might even go to sudden victory. Same thing. I kind of have the same mindset for Bartlett versus Mendes and Van Ness versus Ridge Lovett. 165. I'd like to preview a 157-pound matchup here, but that's Tyler Kasak did lose 5-4 to Joey Blaze. I am still kind of shocked by that. Christopher Mento of Nebraska. This one, Nebraska has showed out, and they've performed above expectations, in all honesty. I thought they would finish second. I genuinely did. It was either them or Oklahoma State. And Messenbrink's going up against the freshman, Chris Mento of Nebraska. Mento denied an all Penn State versus former Penn State wrestler semifinal. Terrell Barraclaw did not make it through. Mento ends up pulling off the surprising victory. This is one where experience certainly matters. I don't think that Mento is going to be able to keep up with the speed, the intensity of Messenbrink, but as we saw in these quarterfinal matchups, that doesn't always go. That's not the end all be all. And Messenbrink, I really do think Messenbrink is just going to use his knowledge of the sport kind of at this point. Mento's still fairly inexperienced, being a first-year wrestler here, being a first-year starter in this Nebraska lineup. But Mento did have an exceptional season, and they didn't wrestle the first time. They didn't actually meet in that Penn State-Nebraska dual meet. So there's no prior matchup. There's nothing to go off of. You kind of just have to see how they're going to react based on your moves. But Messenbrink, nothing should change here. He should be able to motor through to a victory. I do like a major decision here against Mento. Levi Haines against Dean Hamdy of Oklahoma State. Did anybody else have another semifinals matchup? No, you probably didn't. And this one is Dean Hamdy looks really good. And so has Levi Haines all season long. The Keegan O'Toole is the assumed favorite, but I give Levi Haines and Dean Hamdy an equal chance of defeating Keegan O'Toole in that championship bout if either one of them advances. This one's a toss-up. While being the Penn State podcast host, I do think it's Haynes that moves on here. There's that this even comes from Locked On Oklahoma State, my counterpart, where sometimes Hamdy just gets in his own head. Haynes is probably as mentally tough as they get. And that's rich of me to say, well, questioning Hamdy's mental toughness, but I've heard it from other people that sometimes Hamdy is his biggest enemy at that point. So if Haynes can use that to his advantage, it's going to be the mental aspect of it. It's going to be the mental battle because there's not much that separates these two wrestlers. Hamdy very well might be the better offensive wrestler, but Haynes' defense and mental fortitude are going to be the aspects that get Haynes a victory in this case. Another Oklahoma State-Penn State matchup, 184. Dustin Plotz looked really good at this tournament. Same thing, listening to Cody from my counterpart at Locked On Oklahoma State, is that Dustin Plott does have some concerns as far as, did he take a step forward this season? He struggled against Parker Kakaisen again and again and again, and then he did lose that match to Angelo Ferrari when really he shouldn't have. Starocci is the better overall wrestler, but how does he handle the pressure? That's where, if anything's going to happen here, Starocci is now getting closer. This is really where it gets tense. It's different when you're wrestling through because it's like riding a bike. You're going to win those matchups in those earlier rounds. But Dustin Plott is an NCAA runner-up from a season ago at 184. Starocci is chasing after history with a fifth NCAA title. Everybody that Starocci has wrestled, even though it hasn't gone their way, but from the opponents, they got nothing to lose. Dustin Plott's got nothing to lose other than trying to knock off Starocci. So I still think Starocci wins, but I am eager to see how he handles that pressure in the moment, and is Starocci as mentally tough as he seems to be. Josh Barr and Jacob Cardinus, part 3. First one went to Barr in tiebreaker. Awesome duel. Awesome match in the Bryce Jordan Center duel meet. Cardinus got revenge in sudden victory, and we saw that inexperience of Josh Barr that second time around, where Cardinus made him pay for a lackluster move. Cardinus obviously looks the part of a number 1 seed. Josh Barr, I do like the way he's wrestled, though. I see no ill signs of anything that's hampering that leg, that's keeping him back. He was a full steam ahead, full motor against Michael Beard. So that gives me the confidence that Barr could do it, because I did have my reservations. Okay, how would Barr handle not being 100%? So for the most part, he looks like it. If this one goes to tiebreaker again, don't be shocked. But Barr has a fighter's chance. I do look at it as similar to Shayne Van Ness and Beau Bartlett, where I think it can happen, but I don't have as much confidence as I do in the other wrestlers. Then we get to heavyweight. So I do need to remind everyone, Greg Kerkvliet, everyone's probably noticed it at this point. If you've been watching, Kerkvliet's got a massive leg brace on. He picked up an injury at practice over the past week in the week leading up to NCAAs. And we don't know what it is. Is it a knee injury? What is it ultimately? It's a leg injury. We know that much. Wyatt Hendrickson is dealing with... So Cody at Locked On Oklahoma State said it was a wrist injury. It looks, just based on what's being medically attended to, that Hendrickson is dealing with an elbow or some sort of forearm injury. He has the bend of his arm taped up. He has his elbow taped up. So each wrestler is not 100%. Hendrickson looks great. He's rattled off, 3 falls, 3 pins in a row? This is one that my confidence level has gone slightly down. I still think Greg Kerkvliet can do it because I think he's the better defensive wrestler, but Hendrickson has hit a new gear with Oklahoma State and the David Taylor effect. That has gone a long way in this instance. Hendrickson is not the same wrestler that Kerkvliet has faced in the past. This is a new version of Wyatt Hendrickson, one that is more confident in his abilities, one that sticks to his offense a lot more. Kerkvliet's defense needs to be the difference, because I don't know if he can go toe-to-toe with Hendrickson in terms of trading takedowns back and forth. So this one is a toss-up. This has gone from, I'm fairly confident that Greg Kerkvliet should have no issues here and will lose to Gable Stevenson in the NCAA finals, to this one's more of a toss-up now with the way that Hendrickson is wrestling and the unfortunate injury that Kerkvliet now has to deal with in an untimely manner at the NCAA tournament.